I'm Lisa Bonise, and I'm really looking forward to this Q&A chat for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Suzanne Scurlock-Durana and answer your questions about her upcoming 21-week video course, The Core Embodiment Process, which begins Tuesday, January 23rd. Later, I'll explain how you can participate in this course even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Suzanne Scurlock-Durana is the best-selling author of Reclaiming Your Body, Healing from Trauma and Awakening to Your Body's Wisdom, and is one of the world's leading authorities on conscious awareness and its transformational impact on the healing process. After decades of perfecting her method of awakening the body's innate wisdom, Suzanne created the comprehensive Healing from the Core training curriculum in 1994. Today, it includes a robust selection of international workshops, webinars, speaking engagements, and audio programs. And in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions. But first, I want to welcome Suzanne, who will begin our call by leading us in an opening exercise, a reading from her first book, Full Body Presence. Welcome, Suzanne. It's wonderful to see you again.
Great. It's wonderful to see you, Lisa, and to start the new year off this way. I'm very excited. I would like to take a moment with each one of you and welcome you and thank you for joining the call, and to say we'd like to start with something experiential so you get a taste of what my work feels like and the kind of thing that we're going to cover, the outcomes that you're going to find in working with me across the next 21 weeks, or more than 21 weeks, but 21 weeks of working together in video and question and answer and journaling. So if you would, I would like to ask you to make sure that your feet are resting fully on the floor, wherever you're sitting. Whatever you're leaning back against is supporting your spine. Let it do so comfortably. Invite your curiosity to lead your conscious awareness. And I'm going to be doing an experiential exploration, if you will, into your body, filling up your inner energy reservoir, filling the container of your being. And then I'm going to be reading from my first book, Full Body Presence, with a vision, a view of the world that all of us could probably get behind and welcome, as a way of saying to you, just notice, this is really what the world can be like, should we choose to step into it. So take a moment now, if you would, getting comfortable, resting back. Let your eyes close or semi-close, unless, of course, you're driving in a vehicle or otherwise need your vision. But it's definitely not needed for this exercise. And I'd love to have you be able to relax internally in your own inner landscape more easily. So if you want to, close your eyes, sink back inside, let yourself follow your breath. Easy. Inhale and exhale. And as you do so, feel the rise and fall of your chest. Rise and fall of your chest. What's the sensation of your spine sinking into and being supported by whatever you're leaning back against? Feeling the rise and fall of your belly as you breathe. Noticing the temperature of the air as it comes in through your nose, travels down into your lungs, and exhaling. Allowing yourself to feel your sitting bones. Your sitting bones on whatever is supporting you right now. Is one sitting bone resting more fully than the other, or are they both resting equally? What do your thighs feel like resting against whatever you're sitting on? Your knees, your calves. Allowing your awareness, your curiosity to travel all the way down to your feet. Yeah. Feeling your feet resting fully on the floor. Yeah. Good. Good. I'm noticing as I'm doing this exercise with you that my left foot is making a more full contact with the inside of my shoe than the right one is. What are you noticing? Not trying to make any change, just simply noticing, taking a baseline in your inner landscape as we begin. We are essentially slowing down time and dropping into awareness that expands in each moment. Good. And with that awareness comes a sense of full body presence that's natural. Yeah. So feeling your feet on the floor, allow your awareness to extend down into the earth beneath you. Whether you're sitting right on the earth right now or you're in a tall building, we all are connected to the gravitational field of the earth. Allow yourself to bring into conscious awareness the fact that you have a constant connection to the earth. Yeah. And let that awareness, as it drops down into the earth, take your curiosity with it. What does the earth feel like underneath of you right now? Good. Letting your roots of awareness or light beams or rivers of awareness, whatever metaphor works for you in making this connection to this safe, unconditional resource. Let that connection happen and allow yourself to feel and receive hits about, is the earth cold or warm? Does it feel rocky or sandy? Is it wet or dry? Yeah. How rarely we slow down and make this connection to this resource that's with us all the time. Hmm. Yeah. There you go. Good. And you can let this connection go as deeply or as simply as you're comfortable doing right now. So if your roots of awareness are headed for the core of the earth, wonderful. If they're just little tiny capillary roots at the surface, that's okay too. Hmm. And then asking yourself, what would feel most nourishing and nurturing in my feet right now? And I'm essentially asking you to ask your feet. Notice what sensation shows up as you do that. Letting your feet fill and soak up with nourishing, nurturing sensation, whatever that is for each foot. It may be a sense of warmth or coolness. There may be a sense of a color, particular color. You may feel a pulse or a hum. You may notice that your feet start to feel a little longer, wider, or that they simply feel different when you intend and you open yourself to receive nurturing, nourishing energy. Yeah. And as you do this, allowing this river of nourishing sensation to move at a pace that works for you on into your ankles and your calves, filling your shins, your knees. Again, asking these areas, what would nourish and nurture you most? And then allowing those sensations to show up, begin to flow in, soaking into all the nooks and crannies of your knees, spreading into the bones of your thighs, and all the way out to your skin. Good. Good. And if you're moving a little slower than I am or more quickly, no problem. Go at your own pace and do this in a manner that feels good and integratable for you. Rounding the curve of your pelvis. Let the bones, those big sturdy bones of your pelvis, soak up nourishing sensation. Whatever that is for you, allowing it to occur in a manner that works for you. Is it warm or cool? Just simply noticing. Your belly, allowing your belly to fill. Your pelvis, the pelvic bowl, your spine. And if you're noticing that there's an area that's having a little more difficulty soaking up nourishment, just gently cradle it in your awareness and let it receive what it can. And then move on gently, kindly letting it know that you'll be back to be with it in a deeper way later on. And as your spine fills, asking all of the different organ systems in your torso, what would nourish each of them? This is an effortless process because this flow of nurturing sensation is a natural human process. We just so rarely recognize that it's available to us. Yeah. Allowing your ribs, and within your ribs, your heart, your lungs. You may even want to place a hand on your heart. What would feel most nourishing and nurturing? Here in your heart, the front of your heart, as well as the back of your heart, deep into the well of your heart. Allowing your shoulders, down your arms into your hands. Letting this river of nourishing sensation to run, soaking in all of these areas. Good. Good. Allowing your throat and your neck to soak up nourishing sensation. Sense perhaps of warmth or coolness, a color, pulse or a hum, a wave. Allowing all of the sensory organs of your face and your jaw, your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your ears. Letting everything taking its time to soak up nourishing sensation. Good. As best you can right now. Being gentle with yourself, no judgment here. Remember, curiosity is leading our awareness in this process. And as all your face and jaw and your sense organs fill with nourishing sensation, allowing all the structures in your brain, yeah, all the brain nuclei, the membranes, fluids, allowing everything to just soak in nourishing sensation. Good. And as that fills, allowing this river of nourishing sensation that's coming in through your feet, moving all the way through your body, to move right on out the crown of your head, showering down around you, bathing your skin and the energy field that runs through it and around it. Good. Good. And notice what it feels like now to be you. We've just walked through the grounding and filling that accompanies and provides the tools for core embodiment. What if you woke up every day putting your feet fully on the floor as you step into your day, knowing what it feels like to honor your connection to the earth, knowing how to do this exercise, this exploration of filling yourself moment to moment as you need it throughout the day. Taking a moment to listen to and remember and activate the message of the dreams that you had from the night before. Allowing your heart, both the front and back, to fill. Activating your gut and knowing, having a gut sense of what's right for you. Yeah. The power in your pelvis. The clarity in your bones. Yeah. Good. And from this place of full body awareness and presence, take a moment to just let what I'm about to read to you wash over you, taking in what works for you and letting what doesn't go on by. Imagine a world where you get up in the morning with energy to meet your day after a good night's rest. Imagine you begin the day by checking in to make sure your energy reservoir is as full as it can be. Imagine your curiosity leading your day so that your options stay open to whatever resources are available to you that day. Imagine your heart having as much of a voice as your linear thought processes. Imagine how it would be to feel steady and sure of yourself as you make decisions throughout your day. Imagine being comfortable with all of yourself, loving yourself, feeling at home in your body and in your world. Imagine clarity of body, mind, spirit that guides your direction in the world, choosing from options and possibilities that not only feed you, but that are also good for the rest of your world. Imagine greeting the unfamiliar in your world by being curious, awake, interested, but not fearful. Imagine following your curiosity and creating in your world using your natural gifts. If you're not feeling well, imagine having the presence to check in with yourself and be a detective in your system so that you can get the best care possible. Imagine knowing the questions to ask and getting the care that you need. Imagine taking the time to heal fully. Imagine an ability to be friends with time, to slow down and enjoy your day, to rest and rejuvenate, and to effortlessly speed up and go for the goal when that's what's needed. Imagine as you meet the day that you respond from inside your system, your deeper creativity is acted upon. Imagine you operate from a deep sense of love rather than a fear of change or others who are different from you. Imagine being able to feel the tenderness in your heart and not being afraid of it. Imagine feeling strong enough to feel what's in your heart and express it. Imagine allowing your world to touch you deeply, drinking in the beauty that's around you, being able to soak up the love that's in your environment rather than letting it pass by. Imagine trusting your body and treating it like a valued friend and ally. Imagine listening to it, responding to, and following through with its care and healing. Imagine feeling the strength and power of your lower body and being comfortable with it. Imagine, in fact, deeply enjoying it. Imagine having the wisdom to walk in your world with both your power and your tenderness. Imagine being able to sense what kind of movement would be most healing and energizing. Imagine feeling inspired to move in a way that works for you rather than having to force yourself to exercise. Imagine having your sexuality be healthy, an integrated part of you, and feeling comfortable with your sensuality, giving nurturing touch in your life and happily receiving it. Imagine a world where healing bodywork is readily available. Imagine feeling deeply connected, a part of your environment, valuing the natural world like a trusted family member, a world where all decisions take the young, the old, those without a voice into account, where even the smallest of things are considered, where resources other than money and size are the important deciding factors in any given moment. Good. Allowing yourself to drink that in. Settle it on your bones, in your heart, in your belly. And when you're ready, allowing your awareness to come back to the call. And I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa. And enjoy.
Thank you, Suzanne. That was very moving. I appreciate that. So those of you who are watching or listening, we have the rest of our time together to dive into your questions for Suzanne as we prepare for her upcoming course. Again, that's called the Core Embodiment Process, and it begins Tuesday, January 23rd. And if you want to check out the website, learn more about this 21-week course, you can visit coreembodiment.com. You see it down there on the bottom of your screen. That's where you can see the full description and register if you'd like. So let's go ahead and get started with some questions. We've got plenty already lined up. If you have a question for Suzanne, go ahead and just type it in there, and I'll be happy to read it out loud. So let's start out with a question here from Pam, who wants to know how to know what part of my body is the least inhabited.
So one of the core things, no pun intended there, about understanding where you're most present and where you're not is often by lack of connection. So if you have an area that feels empty, or an area that feels numb, or an area that feels distant, those would be 3 key signals that this would be an area that you're not as present in that area. Sometimes it's an area that actually has pain or tightness in it. And I think of this as not necessarily as somewhere that you're actually more present. Some people actually have that misinterpretation of pain. They think, oh, well, that's where I'm actually more present. I'm always in pain. I always know where that pain is. Well, actually, most people, where they have pain, they actually are not quite embodied there. They hover around the pain, like watching it, praying it doesn't get worse, doing little things to make it be less. But the process of deeply connecting with that area and being present with it often leads to the pain dissipating and to that area becoming more integrated and connected with the rest of your system. Does that answer help?
I think so. I hope so. I thought that was an excellent response. Thank you. In fact, it sort of leads into, we've got two questions here that I could follow up with, but let's go with, there's no name attached to this one. It says, does our dependence on social media and other electronic stimulation that's intended to get us connected actually disconnect us from our own bodies?
Yes, actually anything that you're looking at long term, like anything you're visually looking at, we naturally, some of our awareness moves out of our body when we're looking at a screen. So even right now, as we're sitting here, engaging with each other, we've just done this great exploration. Take a moment now and notice you've been eyes open looking at the screen for maybe 5 minutes. Notice how much awareness you currently have in your back. Now, because of the fact that I'm looking at the screen, eyes open, I notice that I have more sensation, more awareness in my chest right now than I do in my backbone. But I can, on a moment's notice, because I've trained, I have the habit of doing this now after many, many years, I can drop back into my back and feel it again. But even with just a couple minutes of primary focus being in front of myself, then you have less awareness in your physical body. When I was writing both books, by the way, I would be sitting at my laptop just typing. And when I'd really get on a roll and be flowing with it, all of a sudden I'd realize that I was in the front half of my body and that my energy field was between my body and the computer screen, but that I wasn't really present in my body as much as I would like to be. And I'd take a deep breath, drop back into the back of my body again, get re-energized, head back into the writing. Yeah. So it's a natural part. Now, I will say that social media, as well as the rest of the technology that we have, helps us in certain ways because it does give us a sense of connection that is, how would I say this? It gives us a connection emotionally at times. It gives us a connection to family members about information. So it's an information giver and connector. But the emotional warmth that I feel when I'm sitting looking at someone physically present, that I feel connected to, it's a very different sensation than the emotional warmth I might feel from reading a nice quote with a beautiful picture on social media. It can get me halfway home. It can get me in the territory, but it isn't quite as good as the real deal. Yeah. And visually being able to see things, like doing this whole workshop via video conferencing, makes it go in deeper and enables you to track what I'm looking like, what my eyes are doing, what my face is doing, my sensation of being present with you. You're tracking that visually. So the technology is helping you right now to take in information beyond what my voice is giving you. Okay? So we can use technology in helpful ways as long as we remember to turn it off and go get connected to the natural world and to the people that we love on a regular basis and leave the technology behind for a while. I just took a trip to Cuba with my family, and I will say that there's not very much technology there at all. And the internet you have to pay for, and you have to go sit in certain places for it. And I have to say, it was such a delightful vacation. I've come home feeling very different than I would otherwise from that vacation from technology, if you will. Yeah. Thanks for that question. That's a good question.
Oh, thank you. That sounds like a fascinating trip. Those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Suzanne Scurlock-Durana, learning about her upcoming course, The Core Embodiment Process, which begins on Tuesday, January 23rd. And you can log on to coreembodiment.com for all the details and to register. So let's go to a question from Beth. This is a little lengthy, so give me a minute to read it out. Beth says, during the day, I usually feel well, but at night I get overwhelmed with anxiety, which manifests as chest pains and scary thoughts and pains all over my body. The anxiety is because I can't afford medical insurance, and if I were rushed to a doctor at night, it would cost a fortune for an ambulance and the ER instead of just a day trip to the doctor's office, which I've done. That's how I know I don't have any physical issues. I don't want to ignore heart attack symptoms because I can't afford a doctor, especially when I know that it's just anxiety. Do you have any suggestions to ease this identifiable and somewhat legitimate angst?
Well, Beth, we are going to be going in more depth in these 21 weeks about how to track when something is anxiety, meaning fear of the future. So right now at night, I'm afraid that in the future, from this moment forward, I'm going to end up with a medical bill that will be beyond what I can pay. So you are overwhelmed by fear of a particular future happening. Sometimes people get anxiety because they're overwhelmed by a fear of something that's happened in the past. So it's a memory that drives them into anxiety. But in either case, what begins to happen is that you lose your sense of awareness in the present moment. And we'll be talking in a whole lot more depth about the fact that when you drop into your heart and into your gut, your pelvis, your feet and legs, and your bones, really fully inhabiting in this core embodiment process, it brings you into the present moment. And in the present moment, you can have a sense of what's going on and what you need to take care of yourself. And in that knowing, the fear subsides. It moves away from your present moment awareness. And you're able to follow your breath, calm your heart pounding, allow your backbone to rest back on the bed, breathing, and letting yourself just be present in this moment. Yeah. And we'll be talking in a lot more depth about different techniques that I have and that I share with people about how to have that whole process be at your disposal when you need it most. You know, also, I will say that sometimes anxious moments at night can be due to something that has happened in the past that you actually just need to work through. And I don't mean this by just work through. You need to work through it with a good therapist, a good craniosacral therapist or body worker, or someone, a practitioner that really knows how to hold space for that old memory to show up, get released, let your body integrate this present moment so that you can let yourself be comfortable at night. Is that helpful?
Well, Beth, if that was helpful, please go ahead and send it in on the webcast. I certainly got something out of it, so thank you for that. We've got a question here from Jo Lynn, who says, so as I become more aware of my own body and strengthen my own energy, I will naturally create more healthy boundaries and stop inadvertently taking on the burdens and pains and troubles of other people, right?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. That was well said. Was it Jo Lynn? Was that her name?
Yes, it was Jo Lynn.
Very well said, Jo Lynn. I really don't have anything else to say. That's it. Yep.
All right, great. That one was easy. Okay, so let's go to a question from Elle, who says, what if your body is resistant to letting go, as it feels the armoring it has built up is still serving its purpose?
Yeah. And see, this is actually one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be doing a 21 lesson workshop with you all, because the process of meeting the parts of ourselves that have experienced trauma or have had overwhelming stress at some point in our lives when we're very young and don't have the skill set to live with it and be able to integrate it. So all of these things can cause our body to crank down, tighten down, armor up, and it pushes us again out of the present moment. And the process of very gently, lovingly creating a container that's full enough, steady enough, sturdy enough that you can begin to hold those places that are armored and really check in. Do I still need this armoring? Many, many, many times, your body, some tightness in your chest or your shoulders or your backbone, will have been armoring and just crank down on that tension 24/7, 365 days a year for years, keeping you safe so that you feel safe. But in fact, you've moved on in your life. And what was so scary when you were 3 or 7 or 10 or 13 isn't really happening anymore. You don't need that tension. You don't need that armoring. So we're going to be talking about and unpacking, if you will, the steps and the process to very gently listening to, talking, creating the safety for these kinds of things that we all bring in our lives to a class like this, and learning how to integrate a deep, healthy flow through your body that allows that armoring at a good pace, at a healthy pace, to gently, layer by layer, let go and let go and let go and let go. The other thing that happens with really a steady, sturdy armoring is there'll often be a belief process, a limiting belief process that says, I'm not safe, I'm not good enough, I'm defective. My only purpose is to take care of so-and-so or this or that. When that kind of thinking is going on, it definitely will affect your capacity to have healthy boundaries. And the other piece that's so important is that how you think about your body basically creates the environment in which you take care of your body or you don't. If you think of your body as something that's just hunkered down tight, and I just have to push my way through the world in order to get to the end of my day, oftentimes we do not take good care of ourselves in circumstances like that. And so we'll be looking at what is your thinking? What's your attitude about your body? What's your relationship to your body, to your heart, to your gut knowing, to the sensuality and power in your pelvis, to the metabolizing effect of when you activate your feet and legs and get moving? What's your relationship to your bones and the clarity in your bones? See, all of these things we'll be looking at because these are resources and assets that help you fill and create this core embodiment that gives you the strength and the steadiness, the grounding, to be able to hold the places that have been traumatized. And so you come more and more and more with each module and each lesson in each module, more present in your body, your core embodiment, which means you're more available for your joy, your creativity, and all the opportunities that are out there for you in the world right now that you may be missing at the moment, hunkered down behind that armory. I hope that's helpful.
Great, thank you. Well, looking at the clock, we have time for a few more questions, but before we take those, I want to give a few details about the course itself. Again, it's called the Core Embodiment Process, and this is going to be a really life-changing 21-week journey under Suzanne's expert guidance, where you'll discover practices that you'll use for a lifetime to listen to your body's wisdom and meet challenges with renewed energy and trust. And the 21-week course takes place on Tuesdays at noon Pacific, starting Tuesday, January 23rd. And if for any reason you can't join us live, that's fine. You won't miss the teachings. You'll receive audio and video recordings, transcripts, and all course handouts on your course homepage. And also, we offer a no-risk money-back guarantee on all of our courses, giving you a full 2 weeks until February 6th in this case to make sure that it's a good fit. And as an added option, all participants are welcome to connect in a private Facebook community group so you can with one another between classes. And everyone who registers receives the Core Embodiment Process bonus collection. First, you'll receive a month on dreams, which is videos from Suzanne, followed by Q&A with HFC advanced practitioners. Then you'll get an audio dialogue with Suzanne and Kate McKinnon entitled The Power of Touch and Presence, Practical Steps to Getting and Staying Healthy with Craniosacral Therapy. Next, you'll receive an audio interview with Dawson Church and Suzanne called Reclaiming Your Body. Then you'll get an audio dialogue with Suzanne and Stephen Porges entitled Polyvagal Theory and How It Applies to Craniosacral Therapy. Finally, you'll receive the first chapter of Suzanne's ebook called Reclaiming Your Body, Healing from Trauma and Awakening to Your Body's Wisdom. So lots of good stuff there. But Suzanne, let me ask you, what are you most looking forward to sharing in your upcoming class?
One of the things that I am most excited about in my process as I've developed it over the last 30 years is teaching people how to have their body, their bones, their hearts, their gut, everything about them be an asset, and how to come into their tenderness in their hearts, the strength of their gut, their everything about us that normally we might actually think of as a liability. That tender heart of mine, I have to protect it. I have to live behind a wall. I love teaching people how to have healthy boundaries so that they can have the tenderness in their heart. So their empathy is an asset and not a liability. And this is a really key piece. The other thing that I'm most excited about is that for most of us, we're taught how to reference externally, not internally. Now, I don't mean, when I say being self-referencing internally, I don't mean that you go inside yourself and you're like an island or you're walled off behind a moat or something. I mean that you know how to listen to and understand the deep wisdom, your deep cellular intelligence, so that you can be guided by all the wisdom in your body, connected to the world around you. In fact, it helps you to more deeply connect with the world around you. And this self-referencing piece is a key, vital skill to have in our world today. With so much fake news and so much going on externally that pulls us off our center, to have the capacity to know how to return to your center, how to sink in, how to be with yourself and know who you are, what your gifts are, and have the opportunity and to feel like you have the capacity to step into what you came here to do at a soul level. That's what I'm excited to teach. Yes. Thanks for asking.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. We've got a question here from Ray Wynn, who wants to know, how do I know what is blocking my receiving gifts? How can I become more open, aware, and willing to live my calling?
We actually will be going into that in the last 2 segments of this 21-week series. We're going to be looking at, are you on your soul's path? And by that point in time, you will have layer after layer after layer after layer of skills for listening to your soul's quality of who you are internally and listening to it from the external. So it's like being in contact with the universe from deep inside the homing station that's in your heart, gut, belly, feet and legs, bones, in all of you. And when you find that, and you get clear about it because you've done the processes that have to do with healing and holding with love, the places you're locked out of. And when you've learned how to move and breathe in ways that energize you, when you learn how to listen to your dreams and understand their message that they have for you all the time, these are doorways to that soul quality of who you are. There are many, many, many doorways for uncovering and discovering that soul core part of you, and then learning to listen to it deeply. And so actually the last 2 segments are called, Are You on Your Soul's Path? And if not, let's go find it and get you on that path, and how to do it. Is that helpful?
I believe so. Thank you. I think it sounds fascinating. I'm looking forward to those modules my own self.
Good.
we've got a question here from Mel, who says, can you speak to young trauma in toddlers from emotional abuse and neglect from a mother, please?
Young trauma in toddlers, like I would like to know whether Mel is speaking about a toddler that they have, or a toddler that they are fostering, or a toddler that they are when they were a toddler. Because what you're really talking about, okay, let's just talk about it then, because we don't really have an answer to that. Let me speak to when trauma happens very, very early. What you need to know is that the consequence of that is that there's usually some disruption in that child's nervous system's attachment. So the ability to attach and be nurtured by another human being is one of the core processes that is very, very necessary in order to grow and develop in an integrating way. So one of the things, if you are, for instance, the parent of a child that has received that kind of abuse, and I do know, for instance, people who have adopted or fostered children that came out of abusive circumstances, that when these parents are given these children, the thing I say is to honor them, hold them, connect with them. Be with them to whatever degree you can, and they can let you in. Don't push yourself on them, but be very present, because the attachment that they miss can be repaired. And this is also true, Mel, if you're talking about when you were a toddler and were abused by a mentally ill mother, or a mother with a drug addiction issue, or whatever. If that's the case, you can still repair that attachment break that happened there, if you will, by doing things that give you healthy connection and love and tenderness in your life. Healthy connection can be everything from connecting to your environment, like standing in the shower in the morning where it feels safe and you feel connected, and feeling the feeling of water, warm water pouring down your back, calming your nervous system. It might be having a pet, a dog or a cat, something that feels safe, that nurtures you, that the feeling sense of being connected to them gives you a sense of attachment. It can be being in a healthy love relationship that nourishes and nurtures you. It can be getting really good nurturing body work on a regular basis. It can be working with a good psychotherapist who works with attachment issues, so they can help you to notice where the rupture is and how to begin to repair it, creating a sense of safety and nurturing in your own life. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. Thank you. We've got a question here from Lee about the course itself. Lee wants to know, how personalized and private are the sessions in your course? I don't feel comfortable sharing details in a public forum, so would I be able to ask you my questions and discuss where I need clearly, directly, and privately with you?
You know, we will be doing exercises where you will, number one, you're never asked to share anything that you're uncomfortable sharing. That's just the way I work. I am not about pulling things out of people or pushing people's boundaries. If I'm going to teach you about healthy boundaries, I have to let you have healthy boundaries to begin with. So at no time will you be required. I will give you lots of different skill sets and experiential exercises where you can explore at a pace that works for you, your own process. You are always invited and encouraged to ask your questions. You can ask them anonymously, and I can answer them anonymously, if you will, but directly to you, what you're most concerned about. You will be given homework for journaling and reflection between each week's modules, each week's lessons, and there'll be many, many circumstances. You can also post things on the private Facebook page. And I have instructors and advanced practitioners, some of whom are in the psychotherapy world themselves, some of whom have been doing my work for decades, and who can help you find answers on that in discussion in that private Facebook page. And also, there will be opportunities for paired or sharing that goes on between just you and one other or two other people if you're not up to talking in a much larger group. I hope that's helpful.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure she's not the only one with that question, so thank you for that
Yeah.
response. Now, a question from Anna, who says, can this work be used for physical healing or ailments such as for injuries or accidents that have left long-term tightness and discomfort?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This work, the other thing that this work does for you is it teaches you how to listen inside. So you know, beyond the reintegrating that you're doing with your conscious awareness, you'll begin to get signals from these tight, injured places about what kind of exercise, what kind of body work, what kind of movement or breath would be most helpful to loosen and open these areas that have been tightened down for decades. So not only will you get exercises that will cause things to happen physically, emotionally, psychically in your system, just by you directing your energy and your awareness, but you will also begin to be able to hear better what this area of your body is needing so you can go and give it to that area of yourself.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. We've got a question here from Susan. Susan wants to know how to trust intuition. I know Suzanne has said it has a neutral ping to it. I guess I have to pay closer attention to feel if it pings without all the old trauma drama attached to the old stuff that can come up when I get triggered. I guess I answered part of my question. I think
Yes,
I
you did.
tried to second guess things. Maybe all of my parts are not working together?
Thank you. That's exactly what's happening. She answered her own question. And second guessing is actually the process of being in your gut, knowing what's real, getting it, getting the hit, sitting with it momentarily, and generally speaking, what's happening when you don't trust your gut and you second guess is you'll sit with it, gee, it feels right, and then darned if your left brain doesn't jump in and go, but what about? And then you start to question this deep wisdom that happened in the process of all of this unfolding. So really, it's practice and saying to that part in your brain that's starting to eat away at the knowing, would you please just stand down, be quiet, and let's watch and see what happens. Because the more you trust your gut and you take action based on an educated gut decision, and you get good consequences, and consequences that are really for your benefit, the more you will trust it. And you did answer the first part of your question. Intuition has a neutral ping. It has a very clear sense of, this is right. Your old stuff or your fear of the future got a whole different feeling. It's like a gnawing or an aching or that anxiety that one of our earlier listeners was asking about. That's stuff in the future and stuff in the past. That's not what's actually happening right here in this present moment. That's where your best intuition comes from. When you're sitting right in present moment consciousness, connected to the world, getting those pings, reading them. I hope that's helpful.
I think so. I think that was really an excellent response, which leads into a very similar question. You've already answered the first part, but let me go ahead and read it out. The question is, you've said that the sensation is important because you stay present. Why is staying in the present important? Which you've just answered. Not sure I understand purpose of present sensation moment. Why would it come through more clearly?
You know, I don't quite understand the question. Current moment sensation.
Well, it seems like the question is, pardon me?
Go ahead.
It seems that the question is just basically, why would this come through more clearly? She understands the process of what you just said, but is not sure why staying in the present is so important. Why does it come through more clearly that way? Intuition, etc.
Oh, okay. Intuition. I was going to ask, what is the it that we're talking about? So it's as though when you're in the present moment, the homing station, if you will, your inner landscape, can feel and sense what's going on outside and around you. Okay, so you're getting information from the universe all the time. Our gut and our hearts, in fact, our whole organ system of the torso, constantly taking in data from the world around us much faster than our linear brains can take it in, or our visual system can see it. So this is happening. If you're not feeling your gut, like this present moment of feeling it, if you're not at home in that homing station, reading the dials, so to speak, you won't get correct signals. If your intuition is based on past circumstances or what you think of yourself, and what you know in the future, you're not going to get as accurate a signal as this current present moment sensation, because that's where everything occurs. Healing happens in the present moment. Knowing comes in clearest in the present moment. The present moment is where it's at. I mean, I think it was 40 years ago that Ram Dass said, "Be here now." Wrote a whole book about it. And there are many different spiritual traditions that talk about the present moment. This is it. This is it. And then this moment. And then this moment. Does that make sense?
It does indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
In fact, speaking of the moments, I'm looking at the clock here. Looks like we're about out of time here. This has been just a fascinating conversation. I want to thank our viewers for all of your terrific questions and for being with us today. The core embodiment process starts Tuesday, January 23rd. And again, you can visit coreembodiment.com to learn more and to register. And before we go, Suzanne, do you have any final words for our listeners and viewers?
Gosh, I'm really hoping that people join me for this class. I'm very excited to be able to share this information that I have culled and synthesized over the last 30 years in a bigger forum. And we're doing it. Thank you to the Shift Network. They do such a professional job of providing the platform for this to happen. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you on this course. Thank you for showing up and asking such excellent questions today. And thank you, Lisa. This has been wonderful.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. It really has been great talking to you again today. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great day, everyone.